Hey guys, today we will be talking about micro-frontend. That sounds familiar, right? So that's probably because you probably have heard of the term microservices. So if you're coming from a back-end development perspective, you probably have used or at least heard of microservices. So microservices and micro-frontend are just similar. So you can call micro-frontend the microservices for the web browser or the microservices for front-end developers. So microservices is actually so essential because there are actually a whole lot of things we can do with them. So if you're a front-end developer and you've worked with large-scale application, you probably would have encountered this. So have you ever encountered a situation whereby you're working in a large-scale application and let's say an application with about 20 to 30 features, and each feature is actually large on its own. Then this is an old application. You have about, let's say, 20 developers working on this particular application, and then you have this pull requests and so many merge conflicts here and there, and sometimes you might just be fixing a little bug and let's say a feature A, and you never knew you've actually tampered with something somewhere in feature B, and then you deploy this to staging or to production, and things start breaking up here and there. So this is actually a situation that I have actually faced in reality, and I kind of have a solution for this, and I think that the solution to this would actually be the use of micro frontend for designing your application. So micro frontend is actually a design pattern, of course, like we can see on our screen, and I'm very sure most of us might have read this, and that's why we left this open. So this is actually a design pattern for web applications, and it's actually a way of bringing different JavaScript frameworks together. So aside from breaking apps into smaller chunks, like let's say we have one large app, we can then break it into smaller chunks, and let's say into 20 different smaller applications, for instance. So I'm going to draw something now. Let's say here is my paint. So let's say we have an application like this, an application that is actually this big. Now this application has a feature. Let's say this is feature A, don't mind my diagram, and here we have feature B, and here we have feature C, and let's say feature D, and so on and so forth. So now we say that, okay, we want to take feature A out to be a separate application on its own, and then we want feature B to be another application of its own. So we don't want feature A and feature B to all be features under one single application. No, we don't want that. We want them to be independent to just have their own things. So we're going to build an app for feature A, build another app for feature B, that will bring all of them together to form one application. So that is just what the whole idea about micro frontend is all about. That's what the whole idea of micro frontend is all about. Now the good thing about micro frontend is that this application A, B, C, and D doesn't really need to use the same technology. We can use different technology to build this different application. So let's say that the feature A is built with Angular, feature B is built with, let's say, React using Bootstrap or something. We have feature C built with Vue.js, or feature D built with Servlet, or any other front-end application. So we can just have different application built with different technology coming together to form one application. So that's just how the micro front-end actually works. So we've splitted one big application into 4 different parts, 4 or more. It could be 2, it could be 3, 4, it could be 20 or even 30, as the case may be. So we can have different applications coming together to be one application. Now to do this micro front end, we can use, there are different libraries out there that we can actually use, but there is this particular library that I have actually used myself, and I can testify to it that it's actually It's actually very great. So that application is called the library rather, is called the Single-SPA. So the name actually depicts itself because that's actually what it's doing. It's bringing different smaller SPA or different individual SPA together to form one single SPA. That is one single page application. So we're bringing Vue, React, and JavaScript together to form one single page application. One single, is that tautology? That's fine. So one single page application, I'm going to say that again. So how does this actually work? We can just quickly jump into the documentation and just have a quick general overview on how we can actually do some things in Single-SPA. So I'm not going to actually show everything on this video. I'm going to split this video into smaller chunks, like a little series, so we can just have a quick understanding of what Single-SPA is all about, because that's what I'm going to be using for this series. And there are also other front-end libraries, micro-front-end libraries out there that you could use, but I kind of prefer Single-SPA because of how easy it is to use. So let's dive into the documentation. So we have a whole lot of information over here. They have a Slack channel which you can join. The community for Single-SPA is actually very good to compare to the other front-end micro-front-end libraries. I keep calling these applications Micro-Frontend Library. So we have a Slack channel. The community is actually very, very friendly. Actually, so you can see we can do React, Angular, JS as well, Vue, Ember, and so many other frameworks out there. So if you have the whole day, you can go through this application, but I'm not going to do that because I'm just going to take us straight to the CLI and just to show how easy it is for us to build a Single-SPA. So I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to say to go ahead with Single-SPA, there are some things we need, and those things we need is, one of them, we need to have Node installed, definitely. We need to also have the respective CLI for whatsoever we're building. So if you want to be using Angular with your Single-SPA, you should have the Angular CLI installed. If you're going to be using Vue, you should have the Vue CLI installed, and just with the respective library, you need to have whatsoever dependency they need installed on your computer already. So I am assuming that we all have those things installed on our computer already, and so that's just it. So let's just get started with something quickly. So in my own case, I'm using npm for this. So I'm going to copy up this code, and I would open up my terminal. Now we are on our terminal, and we've already installed the npm global create Single-SPA. So we've already installed this globally. So now we actually want to create the base application of our Single-SPA. So I'm going to take this create Single-SPA, copy this command over here, now move over to my terminal. I'll paste this, and I have this, and we're going to type this now. So we're going to call this sample base application. I'll press my enter for this. I am setting up a root project, which I'm calling the base project. So I'm going to be using npm for this as well. Do I want to try TypeScript? So I want TypeScript, and I'm going to say yes to this as well. So it's going to create a Single-SPA layout engine. We're going to know what that is with time. So for some reason, Single-SPA asks us for our organization. So I'm just going to put sample org in this case, and I'm going to press enter for this. So right now it's installing, and I don't know, this is not supposed to take long. So we'll just wait for it then. So it actually said that I am done, so it's basically running npm install, and if peradventure this is not successful, we can just run the npm install the way we normally do. So let's just hope it becomes successful. Okay, so great, so these are successful. So what we're going to do next is, if I should check my folder now, you can see that I have a sample base application already, and with a whole lot of stuff in here. So don't get intimidated with this, it's just something very basic. There are only 2 files that we would be focusing on over here. So let me just open this on my code editor, So I'm going to say here I have, okay, so we have lots of files over here. Of course, we know what the node module is, and there are just so many files over here that we don't really need to pay attention to them right now. So let's just take a look at the two major files, or let's say the three major files that we really need to get going with using Single-SPA for micro-frontend application. So the first file I'm going to make mention of is actually the index.ejs file. So there is a whole lot of things going on in here. So I'm going to explain what those things are in a moment. So we also have the micro-frontend layout file. So do you remember when say layout engine and all that? So we have this file over here. So this is the micro-frontend layout. So this is sample org. Just take the name of organization -root -config. So I'm just going to give say something about this particular file. This particular file here is just like the engine house of your entire Single-SPA. So there are a whole lot of things you can do in this particular file, a whole lot of things in fact. But we won't really be going in depth into those things that can be done here, as this tutorial is just going to cover just doing a basic Single-SPA application. But just so you know, in case of you have some sort of more requirements that you actually want to accomplish in your application, you can just take a look at the Single-SPA documentation. You can go to their API session. I really can't find that right now, but you can search for it here. They have API, and those API can actually enable you to do so many things, so many things with your Single-SPA application. So I've once had a case whereby we actually, when we build a Single-SPA, okay, I'm going to say this later on, so it's going to make more sense as at that time. So there's something called the registration. Let me just say now so I won't miss it. So there's something called the registration of an application in Single-SPA. So that simply means that when we build a specific Single-SPA, so let's say when we build our Angular app, we need to register the Angular app into the base app. We need to register the base app into the React application into the base app, and so on and so forth. So that registration is usually somewhat of a manual process. So there is this situation I had whereby I want the registration to be automatic, and I also wanted to so the registration should have a GUI interface. That means I'm going to use another application to register the app. So in that case, this particular file here came in handy because I have to do a whole lot of manipulation in this file, and that's why I just call this particular file the engine block of the entire Single-SPA application. So take note that this might not be what it's called. It's simply because I called the name of the organization sample org, and that's why it's calling the name of this file is called sample org. So if you are calling yours ABC org, it's going to be ABC org -root -config, and so on and so forth. So let's go on. So this over here, you can just say that this is going to be the skeleton of the Single-SPA. It's just a basic HTML file, which is also imported from here at this end as well. So we can see micro-frontend layouts.html. This is where the importation has been done from. So we have this file. We're going to come get back to this particular file, and here we have a whole lot of things as well. So this is our EJS file, and let me start from the bottom. So over from the top rather. So over here we have different metadata and title. You can add as many metadata as you want to add, depending on the need case of your application. So here is our runtime. So you can actually comment this. There's our runtime, and you can comment this if your application is not using an async and await functions. So over here is here are some important parts of this application. So the parts you should take note of are from line 34 to line 40. So in this place is actually our system input map. So here we have our system input map. We just need to leave this, and over here we have our system.js input map, another input map as well. So this is the one that we are going to be editing. So like you can see here, we have at sample org/root config, which is actually pointing to a specific address somewhere on the internet anyways. And this one over here is actually pointing to another address now. So remember when I said that we have to register each of the application that we have developed. Let's say we develop an Angular application. This is the exact place we are going to do that registration, and I'm going to be showing us how to do that on the next video. So just have it in mind that this is where we do that registration. And in some situation, you might need your application, that is your import map. You might not really want to hard code it over here. You might just want to fetch it from somewhere else. So in that case, you might just need to uncomment this line, and actually over here you're going to put the location to your import map.json. So this is usually something you would want to do when you are about going for production. So that is it over there. So that's just how much I'm going to cover for this video. But before I move over to the next video, I'm just going to like to serve this particular application. So I'm going to say npm start to start up this application. So this is going to be served on port 9000. So great. So I'm just going to click on this, and here we have the base of our single SPA. So once you see this page, it simply means that your single SPA, the base application, the root application of your single SPA is successfully installed and set up. So in the next video, we're just going to be adding some more application, plugging some more application into this single SPA application.